Hello and welcome to Seatrade Cruise Talks. We're back with another episode. Seatrade Cruise Talks is a series of educational content featuring cruise professionals and industry leaders discussing the challenges and opportunities of the current and future industry climate. You can sponsor a talk to align your brand with innovative thinking and recent trends, and to receive highly relevant, engaged leads that are seeking the sort of value your brand provides. Contact us at sales@seatradecruise.com or find us on socials at Seatrade Cruise. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel for weekly talks content.
Hello Seatrade viewers, this is Ioannis. We are in Winds Around the World Season 2, Episode 3 with my good friend Emilio Freeman, Vice President of Itinerary and Destinations from Seadream Yaught Club. Emilio, warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ioannis. It's great to see you again.
Yes, we saw each other recently, but I know that you're one of the lovable persons in the industry, and I know you go to places in the exhibitions like Seatrade, and hopefully we will see you in Seatrade in Malaga in September. But it's good to have you. So
Thank you.
Basically, I want our viewers to hear about Emilio. What do you do in Seadream? What do you work about? And what do you do?
Well, my focus at Seadream is all about the destinations, the itineraries. We call them yachting land adventures, but they're basically our shore excursions, and dealing very closely with port authorities and port agents and tourism boards to help bring the destination alive when one of the two of our small yachts comes into port. You know, it's a marriage of a lot of different parties to be successful in creating a good destination for guests that come off of a vessel. And with vessels that only carry 112 guests, it's a little bit more challenging than what you might find with our sister companies in the industry, being like Royal Caribbean, Carnival. I mean, they are so big that they command presence, and we are small. And I remember talking to somebody once about the entire industry being involved in supporting a particular effort. And I said to myself, if Seadream was not included in that list, that person, rather than saying 100%, would have had to say 99.999% of the industry, because we're just so small. But we make our presence known. We make our presence known, and we've been doing it for 21 years.
I can vouch for that. Yes, even your ships are small, but so beautiful. Both of them are currently in operation. I think in the Med, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You're visiting Greek islands, Italy, then you go to the West. So you cruise all over the Mediterranean this season.
Yes, we spend a good bit of our year in the Mediterranean, roughly 6 months, and there's just such a diversity of cultures, of destinations, of people for us to be able to explore, and for us to be able to have our guests enjoy these different destinations. When you talk from Lisbon all the way to Istanbul, within that range, we cover a lot of different destinations.
And talking about destinations, and this is our giveaway back to the industry, your giveaway in a way. I do have some questions for you, which our viewers will be very happy to listen to your answers. And the first would be, what port infrastructure, as far as your company, is necessary? So when someone is meeting you, maybe a new port, or they come and see you, and they ask you, or they should know, by the way. But anyway, what port infrastructure is necessary to accept and welcome your ships? What would you say to them?
Well, it's two different answers to that. One is with a turnaround port, and the other one is one of the ports that we would visit along the way. I'll take the latter first. It's very simple. We like to go to destinations where we can get as close as possible to the center of action, to the city itself. And with such a small pair of yachts with a draft of 4.4 meters, we can get pretty close, and we don't have to necessarily come alongside. So when you think about the transit ports, they don't have to be destinations with a big cruise terminal and a parking lot for buses and get everybody off in 30 minutes. We would prefer to find destinations where we can anchor offshore, tender our guests into a marina or into a tender pier that's within walking distance of the city. We have bicycles on board. We have a marina. So it's this is a little bit more difficult in some places in the Med, but in the Greek Isles and in some other destinations, it's a little easier with the marina. We drop that marina down, and we take out our water sports toys. So, whether they're jet skis or kayaks or paddle boards or just those floating trampolines that people just love to jump on and jump off into the water, it's just a great experience. When you talk about a turnaround port, it's a little more complicated, but it doesn't have to be so. As long as we can come alongside, we have an area to clear luggage. We have an area where we can set up a tent. Where right now, we're slowly getting out of this, but to test our guests before they come on board, COVID testing, where the transit on and off the vessel, the embarkation, disembarkation process is fairly smooth. There's an X-ray machine. There's a building. It doesn't have to be a huge building, not like what would be required for some other companies, but something where it's covered, it's air conditioned, where guests can come in. They might arrive a little early. We normally do embarkation at 2 o'clock, 2 to 4. So, our guests many times will fly in and go straight to the pier. They might arrive at noon, and where are they going to wait? Yes, we could recommend a hotel, or we could recommend a restaurant to go to, but many of them just want to come to the terminal and just wait. And as long as there's a seating area for them to be able to wait, that's the most important aspect. That's for the guests. Crew, obviously, that's another consideration. Someplace where they can get off, they can communicate back home. There's internet. There's facilities for them to be able to communicate with the outside world easily. That's in a nutshell what I can tell you.
You're right in that we should never forget the crew. Crew is a part of the equation, and the ports that have some facilities for crew are always a winner in my mind. And also, let's not forget, no matter how small or large is a ship, when you do turnaround, in many cases, when you have fly and crew situation, where passengers might arrive early and spend a few days on the destination and then join the ship, which is always good for the local economy. And let's not forget an important fact, Emilio, that the cruise industry is providing, the statistics say about 50% or more of the cruise passengers will return to a destination as normal tourists. And this is so important for the local economies. You mentioned about experience, and I want to jump to experience now, because I understand experience is a big part of your operations. And we're talking about not only, obviously, the destination experience, but also the port experience. Tell us a little bit more how important it is, what you would expect from a destination to have when they come and see you. What's your playbook?
Well, when you come to experiences, and I automatically think about our tours, our yachting land adventures, we have to be very careful about that. With only 100 people and working with tour operators, we try to work with operators that are flexible and that can adjust and react to our evolving needs. We have guests that are very travel savvy, and they will come on board. They may say, well, in this particular port, I don't want to get off because I'm just going to relax on board. Or they'll say, I want to get off, and they'll make the decision at the last minute. So we're scrambling around with our operator to find a private car or something that would be of interest for them to do. When we talk about the tours themselves, we never like to overpromise and underdeliver. With only 100 people, it's difficult to offer too many tours. In some destinations, there's a wealth of experiences that you can offer to guests, but knowing that there's certain minimums that have to be achieved. If you have 4 tours and each of them have 15 people minimum, then that's 60 people. With 100 people, that's a pretty high number for us to have tour participation. We'd love to have it, but we normally stick to having 2 programs unless the third one has a minimum that's very low. and very bespoke and very tailor-made to a certain clientele. But we'll offer 2 tours, fill those, and once they're filled, we'll either go back to the operator and ask for some more space, or we onboard the activities manager, which is kind of like our shore excursion manager. We'll go back and talk with guests and get their feel about what they might want to do to offer a third option. So normally we offer 2 way out front. You can find them on our website. And then as we get closer in and on board, then we might cultivate a third one if the demand is there.
So
the type
what you said,
I
go
was
on,
just
sorry.
going to say the types of tours we focus on: active, could be kayaking, it could be bike riding, it could be a hike up a volcano. It could so active is one. Another one would be fairly passive, going and visiting a museum, walking through the town, going to a winery. And the third one that we offer is a little more, I will say, cultural, where we want to engage with a docent in a museum and go behind the scenes. I mean, many people talk about that. With us, it's a little easier when we deal with the right tour operator, because we're only talking about 10 to 15 guests. Many other cruise lines might talk about wanting to do private exclusive events for 60 people. That's when it starts to get a little more difficult to find those off the beaten path and exclusive sites.
You're quite right, and you put it in the right dimensions, I should say, and so people would know now when they approach you what you're looking for. But I always say, do your research on the company that you will be talking to, and adjust your data, adjust your information to the specifics of the company. So yes, a larger cruise line would want different excursions in size or characteristics, and you just explained. But I always say, be prepared and ready to offer this kind of information, because this information, apart from the micro infrastructure you mentioned that you want, especially for the port of call, will hopefully help you pick them up from the candidate ports that you will visit. Okay, I mean, you often go to exhibitions. You were in Seatrade Global. We probably will see you in Seatrade Med. And the question is this: so we have we have viewers that are port of destinations, new or not new, that they won't come and see you. What is your advice to them on how to prepare? What do you have in hand when they will come to see you? And bear in mind that this is my advice, that guys, do not have bags and bags of leaflets and brochures. Emilio cannot carry 50 different bags at an exhibition. But what would be your advice to them?
The key here, I think, is for me. I've been doing this for a while now, and I never like to say no to somebody that's interested in talking with me. And when I meet people and I speak with them, the game plan that I would suggest people have is, number one, know your destination. Have some material that you can at least show a map. Where are you located? Because some of these places, I've traveled to all 7 continents. I don't know how many different countries, hundreds of different ports, but there are places that somebody will talk to me about, and I'll say, where is that? And they might tell me, oh, it's north of this or it's south of that area. But to show it on a map and to actually look at it together, that's the key. Because what I'm going to end up doing is, while you're talking, I'm going to get on my computer and start searching, and that's wasted time. That's wasted time for you. So if you're there and you have that material right in front of you, be prepared to talk about not just if you want to sell your destination. Be prepared to talk about the activities and the sites that would be attractive to the audience, and know your audience, know who you're trying to appeal to. Because if you come to me and you say, hey, we got a great kids museum, you might be talking to the wrong guy, because our focus is more on adults, couples. It's not kid focused. We don't discourage people from bringing kids on board, but our main focus is more adult like activity on board and ashore. So, you have to know who you're trying to appeal to. If you're going to talk about kids and you want to do something there, then talk to Disney. Disney Cruise Line or talk to Royal Caribbean. They have programs that are specially designed for families and for kids. We don't really focus on that. So know your audience, bring a map, have a sample of different programs and ideas of what we might be able to offer our guests that would interest them. And a fourth one that's very important. You can talk about, I'll give you an example, going to Sète, France. Sète, France is a great little destination, but it has a sporting event there that very few people know about. It's called Yaught. And you go there, and during the summer, there are days of the week and the weekends where you can say, oh, we have Yaught, and it's great if you come in the summer. When in the summer? When is the championship? I would love to bring my little yacht, park it and dock it right next to the city center, walk into town, and there is all the activity. But if you tell me, oh, it's on a Saturday and I'm coming there on a Wednesday, or I come there on a Saturday and you tell me, oh, the championship is on a Wednesday, then that's a little bit of a problem. You can say as a destination that, oh, well, Emilio, we don't really know that far out in advance. You're talking about 2025. And when was it in 2024? And is it always on that same third Saturday of, a given month? There's a pattern that many destinations in their events follow. And if you can address that, that's helpful to somebody like me that will say, I want to be there. I want to be there during that event. Tall ship races, running of the bulls. Everybody knows when Monaco Grand Prix happens. So those events and activities that take place, it's always good to know when they're happening so that you can tie in. A new one that's coming up that I'm watching very closely is America's Cup 2024, Barcelona. Not much has been said about that. Many companies have already established their itineraries, but I'm trying to watch it and see if there's an opportunity for us as Seadream, whether it's on a charter that a client may want to call on there, or something that we do independently. So those are 4 elements that I welcome in discussions and talking with anybody that thinks that they can offer a special program to Seadream. I welcome that opportunity to talk with them.
Emilio, this is great advice, and especially number 4. In many places, Greece is one of them. You have festivities, you have local festivals that happen at the same date every year. So a great advice would be, yes, put it in your calendar, fix your calendar, put a small description around what it is. And, many cruise lines might find it appealing to bring because it's a taste of the local culture, which doesn't happen often, to go to a festival, wherever that is. And as you know, in Greece, we have a plethora of saints everywhere and churches everywhere. So we have a lot of festivals happening around the Aegean. In Crete, where I'm from, the same. We have the celebration of potato, the celebration of snails, the celebration of cherries every year. And now COVID is behind us. This will, go back to normal, but this can be a great opportunity. Great advice. I cannot let you go without, in this series, we have a cruise story. So every cruise executive I have in the show is telling a story for us. So it's your time to shine. What's your cruise story, Emilio?
I think about a story that actually involves another cruise line counterpart, a guy by the name of Tim Litley, who you probably know. Years ago, I was approached by somebody else that said, "Hey, listen, we have this new facility, and it's going to be dedicated. It's in Mexico, and we could arrange for your ship to be the very first one if you agree to it. Be the first one there. The governor of the state and even the president of the country might show up." So this is a period of time when I was working for a luxury residential ship, and I was there, and we made all the arrangements, and the president, his name was Vicente Fox at that time, came, and it was a lot of fun. Our residents on board this ship had a great time, and they loved the welcome that Mexico gave them. And the country actually gave us a helicopter to use to fly guests to some ruins that were in the interior. So for about 30 guests, 30 residents, I should say. And I accompanied the guests and residents. Um, and while I was getting on the helicopter, this guy that I never had met before came up to me and said, "Hey, Emilio, I'm here representing another cruise line, and I'm observing, and just wanted to see, could I join the helicopter?" And I said, "Well, sure, we got an extra seat. Why not? What's your name?" "Tim." "Okay, Tim, come on board." And we sat down and we talked. And at the end of the day, many of the residents at that time came back to me, "Who is this guy?" And I could sense that they didn't enjoy having an outsider join them. So I had to make up a story. I said, "Oh, this guy is instrumental in making all of this happen for us. Without him, the helicopter wouldn't be here, et cetera, et cetera." And I had to turn around to Tim and say, "Hey, listen, you better, when you talk to these people, you better use a Spanish accent, because otherwise they're going to know that something's cooking." But it was a lot of fun to have Tim. That's when I first met him. Great guy in the industry. I have a lot of respect for him, and he also, like me, is a small ship cruise guy, if you will. So I've always enjoyed meeting him and talking and remembering that story, drinking tequila with President Vicente Fox on board this particular ship, and meeting and getting introduced to a new destination, all in the same day.
I cannot promise you tequila, but when you come back to Greece, we will drink sikudia with me in Crete, Emilio. And I can tell you, I don't know about the helicopter ride, but we will have a ride. I can promise you that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So with this great story and our hellos to Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you and listen to all the great stories and tips and advice you gave us. So thank you so much. Thank you, our viewers, and we will see you in episode 4. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.